Hello everyone, this is Delar, and today I'm doing a alteration for one of my customers, and um, she wants this top, actually the arms extended out because they're kind of tight on her. So she want me to add some extra fabric to the arms so that it'll fit more comfortably. So what I've done already, I've already ironed my sleeve. You need to iron your sleeves because if you don't iron the sleeve, it may be kind of uneven. So what you need to do is make sure you iron right to the seams like that. That's what you need to do, iron right on the seam. And then make sure you got an even amount front and back. But if you iron it on the seam, you're going to have the even amount anyway. So I've already torn a piece for the sleeve, and I'm not going to really give you the size of this because it'll vary to what size you want that sleeve to open up to. So here's what I've done as far as for the pieces to put in the sleeve. One of I've already torn already, and then so what I've done was I took the fabric and I measured it down the sleeve. And I left enough that when I, curve it over, that when I get ready to put it in, I have enough for a fold that will match this seam right here. And then I'm going to do the same thing at this end. I'm going to be folding this over and stitching it just like that, so I have the right seam amount allowance to have a finished edge. So that's what we'll do right there. And so now I'm going to show you how I did the piece. I just put it on there just like I just showed you. But so what you can do, instead of measuring it, you can just lay the piece that you already have on top of the piece in the size that you're going to be using. So in this case, I'm doing just about like that. Like I said, you don't really I don't really have to give you a amount because you might want yours bigger, you might want it smaller. So you just measure to what you want it to be. And some fabrics you can actually tear. This is being one of them that you can tear instead of cutting. So all I do is just snip the edge like that, and then I just tear it down. And you have to be careful because some fabrics don't tear like that. And if they tear, they'll go crooked. So you make sure that when you're tearing that fabric, it is fabric that you can use in that manner, because if you don't, you'll have a disaster. So, and until you get comfortable with doing that, you should just cut it anyway. I would suggest that's what you do, just cut it. So my piece might be a little bit bigger than that one. So all I'm going to do is just even the edges of this to make sure I'm having enough, and the sleeve will be the same size. So I'm going to make sure to put that together like that. And down like that, making sure that you're going evenly down. And if you're not comfortable with just laying it on top of the other fabric, make sure you pin it, and then you can cut it. But I've been sewing for a while, so I kind of know what I can do and what I can't do. So here we go. Tear that little extra piece off. But like I said, until you get comfortable, don't do this, because you might buy some expensive fabric and then tear it. And don't blame me, okay? Alright, here we go. So I'm going to go and iron these pieces out because I just want them to be kind of neat when I put them in there. So I'll be back, okay? Okay, I'm back. What I went and done, I took the edges and I ironed them. And what I did, I ironed folded it over enough so it'll match this seam. So you got the same amount, so that when I put that piece inside this arm and began to sew it, it'll just be an even size. You know, see that? It'll be like that. So all you need to do, and as far as how much you're going to iron over, press over, is according to how deep you want your hem and how long, or like I said before, you want your piece in there. So what I'm going to do now, okay, is I didn't do the other end of the fabric for one reason, is that when I start to connect this piece right here with the sleeve, I want to make sure that it's long enough when I take it up the sleeve to have enough to fold over. So I'm not going to cut it yet, because it's going to be some overhang on it. So you don't, and another thing, you don't have to worry about the seam that's on the inside unless it's a large seam, because I'm just going to cut right along the side of this. I'm not going to even take it apart, because I'm cutting right down the sleeve anyway. So it wouldn't really, you know, matter to waste up time doing that. So here it goes. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for the sleeve. I've already ironed it. See my sharp seam there? Make sure it's right, because if you don't, you're going to have a messed up sleeve. So what I'm doing, I'm cutting right on the seam, just like that, right directly. In fact, hold on, need to get my other scissors. Cutting directly on the seam. See how I'm going right down the seam? And you be careful, because you don't want to cut your fabric crooked either. Okay. So now you need to place your fabric comfortably so that when you start to cut, and make sure you cut right on that seam. If you can't go off of that seam. And you know what, even if you have to take this piece of fabric, well, it would be kind of hard to do, but make sure you cut kind of slow, make sure you steady, and you can kind of even let your seam rest on your scissor blade. See how I'm going right on that seam? You gotta make sure you do that, and don't do too much pulling on it either, because you might make, and I mean, it'd be okay if it's just a tiny tad off, but you're gonna be real careful, especially when you got sheer fabric or really delicate fabric. You gotta really be careful, because those scissors can go sideways and you got a disaster. Okay, now we got the sleeve open, and I'm gonna lay the sleeve down on the right side. See, now look what we got. Just cut that piece out, and then when you get this side right here, just snip that little seam out. Snip the seam out just like that. Snippers for that. Sometimes you don't need this really big scissors for little tiny things like this. So see that I cut that little seam off. There we go. So now it's so clean. So I'm putting it face down on the wrong side. So now I'm going to take my piece, and I'm going to the machine, and I'm going to stitch this edge down. And I folded it once, then fold again, so give it a little bit of strength to hold, you know, the cuff, because you don't want it too sheer. And like I said, you want to match the other sleeve. You want to match what you're attaching it to. So what you're going to do is put right side to right side, but I'm going to go and stitch this down first. I want to stitch that down first, so when I put it in, because I'm not really going through the process of undoing all this. That's just extra stuff that you really don't need to do, because once you finish it up, you can finish it to the point where it don't show, you know, like the stitching and everything. So I'm going to go over to the machine and stitch. Okay, now I'm about to stitch the pieces together. You see I have the actual sleeve, and this is the black is the addition. So I'm pressing this against that to make sure that they're the same size. See that? I think you can kind of see that they're going to be the same size. So what I'm going to do is stitch down the piece that I've ironed on already. And like I said, I did a double fold. You don't have to do double folds on all fabric. So here we go. Make sure you're doing sheer fabric. You make sure you take the needle thread, the thread that's in the needle in the machine, and pull it backwards, because sometimes when you're sewing sheer, it will start to bunch up under there if you don't take the thread and pull it outward. And also, you make sure you have the right size needle for the type of fabric that you're using. So what I'm doing is just sewing down. Continue to go down the seam till you get to the end. Be careful, because you don't want to catch your finger in there, because it's really easy to do. I've actually sewn all the way through my entire nail, and when I did it, I was in total shock. I just sat there for about 15-20 seconds and just stared at it, because I could not believe what had just happened. So be careful when you're sewing to the ends of fabric. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the sleeve that I cut open, and I'm going to place it, this piece, at the shoulder, because we're just adding a piece. I was going to actually make another seam there to make it match, but I don't really have to do that. We'll see how it goes. If it looks pretty good, I'll leave it that way, but if it doesn't, I'll change it. But it probably won't show that part, but I'll just show you how I'm going to do this part. So I meshed the seams together. See the the hems together, and then I'm going to go down the sleeve of the garment, and make sure you do a backward stitch to secure your stitching. I think I'm doing about probably 1/8 of an inch, maybe, stitch on this particular item. I don't want the stitches too big, because I'm going to actually fold it over and do like a blind stitch on the inside. I mean a blind hem, I'm sorry. So you continue to put your pieces together as you go down. And some of you may need to pin it. I don't really pin it because I've done it a lot. I just make sure as I go there, the edges are flushed or even. Excuse me for my little noisy machine, but it gets the job done. Alrighty, here, we're almost done. Where you stop, everybody's gonna know. And I'm going, before I get completely to the end, I'm going to stop about probably about an inch before I get to the end. Right there. And the reason I'm stopping, because I have to actually fold this in, but I'm cutting all this off. So here's what I'm gonna do. So you're gonna snip this off. Oh, my stuff is so dull. Alrighty. And here's what it's going to look like. See how good that look already? See that? And I'm going to finish the inside of it. I might even take it and fold it over like this. Do a double fold. And then go down that little cuff. Down that seam. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to be doing with that. But I'll show you what I'm going to do, you know. So you'll know the technique that I'm using. So it's in there. See that? All right. Okay. I'll be back. I'm going to do the same to the other side. I have my piece in there. What I'm going to do is cut. See, I got it even with that. So I'm going to cut right above about a ½ inch. Because that's what I'm going to need. You're going to need, well, for this particular top. I'm going to cut about a ½ inch, well, 5/8 of an inch, about 5/8 of an inch, because I need the extra to fold over. And I'm going to tear this because, like I said, you can tear this fabric. Oh, yeah, well, okay, here we go. We're just going to cut this fabric, okay? Just make sure that it's even. I think I can tear it. It's just that I have it torn far enough over. Yeah, I knew I could. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, take it over to the iron and turn my seam allowance over so it will match this. That's why I had it extra, like an inch, left an inch open, so that you'll have enough room. See, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold this over twice. And like I said, it's according to what fabric you're using. See, and then you got your matching little seam there. See that? That's all you do. Okay, I'm going to iron this and I'll be back. Okay, now I've ironed my piece. And I'm going to go forward. Oh, I told you guys, and I'm not doing what I actually, like told you guys to do. So what I'm going to do is pull the thread and make sure that I got my seam allowance that match the other part of the sleeve. So my hem will be the same as the actual hem on the sleeve. And so all you're going to do is the same thing you did on the other. Just going to go down and stitch it. Okay. And forward we go. And once again, I say watch your finger. You don't want to have a top with the finger to match in the sleeve. That's what you'll have. Yeah. Alright, you'll snip that off, and what you're going to do is take this, see that? See how perfectly that matches? Perfect, bam bam, look at that. Perfect. And we're going to tuck this over, and then we're going to take these two pieces and sew it together. And if anybody have an easier way to do it, I am never against learning anything new, and leave your comments and suggestions about how you do yours, and I'd appreciate it very much. Now I'm going to finish the edges up with a zigzag stitch. And by the way, if you like this video, you can give me a thumbs up, and if you choose to, you can subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. So what I'm just doing is going down the sleeve, and I'm going to do a zigzag down it, and I'm just going close to the edge because I don't want it to ravel. I usually do a second time on fabric like this anyway, because you don't want it to ravel out on you when you wash it or anything like that. So I'll show you once I finish this thing how to go over it. It's really simple. Just to finish it up. Okay, we're almost done with that end. And like I said, I'm going to go over it again, show you how to, you know, finish up so you don't have the ragged edges on it. Go back, make sure you secure your edges. Now, alright. My scissors. I need to keep my stuff right beside me. I'm just one. I have stuff all over the table. But hey, it works for me. Alright, now we're going to go over it again. So what I'm going to do is go right at the edge, so we can kind of clean up the ravels on it. They actually have this stuff that's called stitch witchery. And what it does is you can actually pour it, put it down on the edges of this and finish it off. And then once you do, you can trim it off. I'll show you that particular product later. But right now we're going to just do this. And I'm going to make it a little bit of my zigzag a little smaller, so it can catch up all the edges. See that? So what I'm going to do when I'm finished, I'm going to trim all this little stuff off. I thought about kind of like burning it off, but I don't want to burn off the whole sleeve. That would be a disaster now, wouldn't it?
That would be very sad.
Yeah. Okay. That would be a very sad situation for me. And I'm just taking the fabric like right in the middle. See right there? In that little gap. Just make sure your seam kind of line up with that opening there on your pressure foot. I have a serger actually that does professional edges and everything, but I know everybody don't have a serger, so I'm just trying to, show you how it will look. And matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I think the other sleeve, I may just do it with the serger so you can see how it will look with the serger. Alright, we're coming to the end. All you want to do is backtrack, because you don't want your see how that do it? It'll kind of close up the edges and finish it off for you. Yep. And wait a minute, hold on. I'm going to tack that down like that. So you want to secure that. And then I'm going to iron this down. And when I get finished, it's not going to be looking raggedy or frazzled or anything like that. I'm just trying to make sure you're doing a straight stitch at the ends. And once again, if you have any comments, any suggestions about how I can do this better, then I'd appreciate it very much. And also subscribe to my channel if you like what you see, and give me a thumbs up. Now what I'm going to do, and you may not want to do this, but I like to kind of clean up the edges like this. But you have to be really careful, and you really got to have some sharp scissors to do this. And I'm only doing this sleeve like this because, once again, everybody don't have a serger. So I'm just going to show you how to do it if you don't have a serger. And also I will get the product that I was telling you about, Because what you can do is, once you finish this up, you just go down the seam with, it's a liquid, and you go down the seam, and it actually keeps it from fraying like the whole time you have the garment. It is the best stuff.
Fray check.
Fray check, exactly. Not stitch witchery. Stitch witchery is actually on a spool, and you can what you call that? You can
iron in your seam.
Yeah, iron your seam together. It's always good to have two voices, because two voices is better than one. So, because I'm telling you, sometimes I forget a lot of these products. I've had them over many years, but I had stopped sewing for a while, so a lot of the stuff I just forgot what it was. I know this looks very tedious, and it kind of is, because you don't want to cut the top of your seams. So, but like I said, you got to have some really nice scissors, or they don't have to be like expensive. Just make sure they're really sharp. Now I'm going to go over the corner of this one. Just kind of tuck that under there. And then lay it down. Up that. And then back. You don't need to go up the entire arm. Okay. And there you have it for this side. Let me clean this edge up a little bit right here. And you know what? I might even go and kind of like burn the little frays off, but I don't suggest you do, because I don't want you blaming me for your whole outfit going up in flame. So, all right. And I'm going to go iron this inward, like in like that, so it doesn't show. I even thought about maybe I just might, but I doubt it. Go down the seam. See, that looks good though. That's the finished side. See that? So once I try it on her, I will come back and show you my finished product. Okay, I've installed my extended extensions for my sleeves, and I'll show you all of that once I finish putting the back in, because I'm putting a piece down the back also. But I will show you the inside of the sleeve and how good that looks. See that? And that's done with a zigzag stitch. See? Pretty good, huh? Yeah. I think that looks really good. Now we're going to be adding a piece to the back. She wants the same amount added to the back of the jacket. So actually, I'm really remaking the jacket, because, and like I said, if you buy something that's a little bit smaller, but you really like it, and you can just take it and remake it the way you want it. People do it, all the time. So now I'm going to be cutting straight down the back. I already ironed it and everything. Like I said, you have to be really careful. But you know what? I have to turn this. Let me see. Let's turn it like this. That way I can get a better, lay the fabric down more evenly. And making sure that when you're cutting, I didn't put a lot of pins in it, because I kind of can do it, like I said before, without pins and everything. So there we go. It don't have to be exactly perfect either. So I'm going to cut as close on the seam as I can. And you know what? When you're doing it, try to place it where you have control of the fabric, so it don't like shift on you. So that's down I mean, I'm sure you probably get the general idea of what I'm doing, but I just want to make sure, and I can't stress that enough, to cut right in the middle of the seam that you iron. Well, see, I kind of went off right there, but you know what we're going to do? So I got to make sure that's right inside. Yeah, I kind of went off, but I know where to cut it at anyway. Just to join it with the other seam that I already have. I don't know how that came out like that, but it's okay. Like I said, it don't have to be 100% perfect, but get it as close as you can. Yep, see that ended up right back at the seam like it's supposed to. I'm telling you, this fabric is really shifty. It wants to move around. So like I said, you gotta hold it too. Make sure you're holding it together. And oh, another thing, make sure that when you're ironing the seam down to cut, that you're gonna cut, that your iron is very, very good. You have to have a good iron, so it won't, so you get a good crisp seam crease. All right, so I'll be back. I'm going to put my middle piece in, and then I'm doing exactly the same thing I've done with the sleeve. So I'll be back. Now I'm attaching two pieces of fabric together that I'm going to use for the back of the jacket. And I'm going to show you how to do what is called a French hem. So here we go. What you're going to do is you're going to place your fabric right even with the side of the zipper foot. I'm sorry, the foot on the machine. And you go straight down because you're actually doing like maybe a 2/8 of an inch seam. So you go down. I'm gonna sew just straight down that seam because you don't want too much fabric. You could do an inch, but you gotta do all that trimming. So I try to attach together. Sew together as least as I can. So when I flip my fabric, so we're gonna keep sewing. And you really don't even have to do a back stitch on this because you're going to be flipping it. Okay, now what you're going to do, and you don't even have to iron it really, you just gotta hold it. So now you're going to take this, open it up like this. See that your seam is on this side. And then, oh boy, you know what, I should have attached that in. We can take that out. Because I need to do this. I didn't catch that end of that one. It was coming apart. I don't want it to be open when I get ready to flip it over. Now, what you do is you take this fabric and you turn it just like this. You turn it over to the right side and you put the seam together. Sometimes you can iron it, but I don't iron it because I don't need to really. And all you do is you take it, you're going to pull your fabric so that piece ends up in the inside of it. And then you go as close to the middle of this stitching line right here on the foot. You're going to put it right in the middle and go right at the edge of that, because you're going to actually trim this. Some people fold the entire piece on the inside, but I'm not doing that because I don't. Now, I'm going to open it up. You see you got that little bit in there. I just trimmed that off. So you can actually sew that inside of that seam, but I'm not sewing it on the inside because I'm just gonna iron it flat. All you want it to do is not ravel. And be careful when you're cutting, because you mess around and cut the fabric. Yep, you're just cutting that little piece out. If you can you see what I'm doing? 'Cause, yeah. See, there's another piece sticking up. And you guys, I would suggest that you iron this flat like this. Take it to the ironing board and stretch it out, especially if you're not, you know, comfortable with just cutting it and lay it flat like that. You iron it flat and then trim off this excess. And as I said before, you can actually enclose this edge inside the stitch, so you won't have to trim it. I think I just like doing extra stuff. Okay. So there you have it. That's your seam. And you don't have to worry about that coming apart. So what I'm going to do is take it to the iron board and iron it flat. Like that. Like flat down. So I'll be back. This is a finished garment that I've done. And as you can see, there's a piece down the back that she wanted. Also, there's a piece down the sleeve. And this started out being a one-piece solid design. So I added the black pieces to it. And put a little fold in the back. And that's it. Thanks for watching my video. Hope you like it.